Hey collective, it's Ron over here at Becoming Enlightened Together again. I hope you guys had a great holiday and all of that. For those of you who got an opportunity to celebrate it. And if you knew a veteran, I hope you probably did, being that you are the collective. Extend your thanks and so on for their service. Now, we all may have a differing view on what that really means, and the services that our military is being used for today, I'll be the first to admit, is questionable. I see things with my own eyes, and I come to my own conclusions based on all that I can ascertain and absorb in terms of information, and the things that I believe differ considerably from status quo in terms of what we are all more or less inspired. That's a very kind way of putting it. Inspired to believe about certain things. But that doesn't take away from the fact that many of these men and women who go into the military truly believe that they are doing some type of act of service, for the greater good. It may be misled. They're naive in some ways. I know that I was. I truly believed all the way up to almost till the very end that we were there somehow providing, freedom for our country, even though I was taking it away from somebody else. And every time I'd come home, from those types of things, I would realize very quickly that, one, the story that was being shared and perpetuated throughout the media was not the accounts that I myself witnessed and was a part of, and two, that our freedoms, little by little, were disappearing very quickly. It didn't take me long to realize, of course, that things were not adding up at all. So that's kind of what made me who I am and perpetuated me in the direction that I am in. But please understand, there's nothing wrong with saying thank you for the service to these young men and women who really believe in their hearts that they're doing something good and something right. And many of them really believe, even though they really haven't thought that all the way through in most cases, not all, that they are doing something even to the point of possibly giving their very lives up for that ideal. And this is what makes it something of a travesty, because what they're being used for in reality is not at all, the picture that we're being expected to believe in. But that's another story, and I certainly will make these things extremely clear, and I will assure you that I will give you a lot of evidence to support my perspective on things. It's never just my opinion. I never just simply give my opinion without having a lot of things to back that up, and years of research. And it's not easy to say because I was a part of it. But I know I'm getting off on a tangent, which I often do, and it's because I'm a teacher, so when I get on a specific subject, even though I'm here for something else, I focus on that particular aspect. So please forgive me for that. And again, I digress. So let's look at today's reading. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of November, 2025, but it's actually for whenever it is that you witness this. Okay, so whether it's tomorrow, next week, next year, 10 years from now, whenever you see it, that's when you're meant to see it. Time is not linear, and it's relative in many ways. Again, I don't want to get into that subject, or we'll be here all night long, or at least I will be. I'll probably be talking to myself. So with that being said, let's start with the overall energy of the week as a reminder. Now, I typically do a rune pull for the entire week. I pull one per day for each day on Sunday to give a general overall energy for that day and for the overall energy for the entire week as a whole. Now, that energy was Gibo. Now, Gibo is traditionally in the upright. It's the good luck rune, like X marks the spot in the treasure map. However, in this particular case, this one is basically in the reverse. The energy is the negative aspect of this, okay? So what that typically means is that there are problems with ascertaining the roots of an emotional nature or manner, with somebody within, our sphere of influence. And it doesn't have to be the collective. Again, these energies can be actually reflecting, and they have been quite a bit this week in particular, focused on the karmic aspects, of people in our lives. And it does give us some insight into our particular world specifically as well, in terms of things you can expect, like reaping what it is that you've been sowing in terms of the energy that you have been putting forward all of this time, and while working on yourself and doing the very best you can to be a better version of yourself. Those people are going to be rewarded. So it has told us that, each day this week as well. But it has been warning us quite a bit more about the state of mind and the mental, let's just say that they are in a very, very difficult mental status at this point. I would say disturbed, and possibly even dangerous, if not to the collective, certainly to themselves. We've heard the word suicide a couple of times this week, but we also have heard the potentiality of a death. So now, I don't want to scare anybody or make anybody paranoid, but I have to give you what it is that I see here, okay? And any good, divinator, regardless of what method they utilize, would do the same. It's not just about giving you the touchy-feely good stuff that makes people happy and, gets a lot of views. We have to be honest. And life in reality has its ups and downs, okay? Right now, we're looking at, from the karmic perspective, they're getting ready to reap their rewards too, and it's not going to be a pretty sight for them. Not everybody can come with us in this journey, so we have to be willing to accept that reality as well. Some of the people that we believed are supposed to be in our lives, or maybe we ourselves have believed very strongly that they're going to be coming with us to the very end of our journey, may not be worthy of that that journey, so to speak. And that's not for any of us really to say. That comes from, the higher realms, okay? They're not going to allow somebody to proceed to a higher state of and reward and, living, if you will, especially as our frequency in this world, the world's frequency itself is changing as a whole. It's not just an individual or even just the collective. It's the world in its entirety. The resonance, vibration, the frequency is changing. It is increasing. And we are either going to keep up with it, or like the case for far more people, they won't. And I cannot say with 100% certainty what that's going to look like. I can only say it's probably not going to be very pretty. Okay? And again, not trying to scare anybody, but that's just what everything seems to be pointing out to me. So, again, what does Gibo in the reverse mean? On top of having a difficult time determining what it is that's the root of our particular, thinking and, if you will, bad karma. And again, I'm addressing the cross-watchers and the karmics out there who are watching. You'll also be in the spirit of greed, loneliness, and dependency, feeling like you're over-sacrificing. Perhaps you are in some regards. That you have too many obligations. You're feeling like you're toiling without any type of moving forward. You're living in a sense of privation, and you are utilizing bribery to get the things you want in this life instead of actually just working for it and doing the right things. Now in magic, basically it's used to increase the overall fortune and good luck and abundance of a person. Used in a bind rune, it also increases the power of that bind rune, if you will. Used in conjunction with another rune, you magnify the power, so to speak. Alright, and numerically it's number 7, and number 7 in Nordic numerology is about death and passive contact with the other worlds. 7-night interval is traditional between death and the performance of ritual funeral rites, for example. And there's not a whole lot else that, it's shown in mythology for the Norse. Now, it's quite a bit different, of course, in the tarot and astrological renderings, Mediterranean numerology, in other words. But again, we're trying to stay and go back as far as we can to the original mindset and practices of our earliest ancestors. And we don't have a whole lot of records. We have to piece it all together. But I have found some very interesting parallels with other cultures, the Vedic one in particular. I found a couple of things that seem to be very, very close in terms of, beliefs. Characters have changed, stories have changed, but, the gist of the story and perhaps some form of numerical significance is found paralleling those two cultures, which I find fascinating. And again, this is how we piece together this large puzzle called life that we have been deliberately kept from getting the real truth about our lives. Alright, so that's the overall energy for the entire week, all the way up till Saturday. Okay. Now, our past energy is Manes, and Manes in the reversal. Okay. Now, typically it stands for man, mankind, altruism, things of that nature, but this is in the reverse. So it talks about selfishness, feeling uninvolved, a sense of victimhood, egoism, possibly loneliness and depression. Again, speaking of the mindset of those who are in our sphere of influence that are basically using a mask to keep it hidden that they're going through this. But somebody in your sphere of influence or some bodies are actually involved or feeling this way. So more feeling their mortality, having a sense of blindness and self-delusion, feeling cunning and sly, being manipulative, crafty, calculated. They can expect no help at this time. That's part of what this actually means in the reverse. So it's pretty stark. The karmics' time is up. They're about ready to reap their rewards. Okay, so if you don't know who it is, you will see it soon. Alright, now the present energy, again, is Gibo. And this time Gibo is in the upright. So for today's present energy, it's Gibo, which means gifts, gifting, reciprocity, if you will. It talks about partners and love, fortune, the divine union, sacrifice or generosity. It talks about all things indicating a balance and, again, reciprocity. So all matters in relation to exchanges, including contracts. So you may be signing a contract soon, so make sure you do look at the fine print. Personal relationships and partnerships of any kind. That's basically what Gibo stands for. It's all about positive things in life, the things that we hold dear typically or most people desire. Now, again, in magic, it's used to increase one's luck and fortune, their abundance, and it can be magnified or magnifies the other runes about it, especially when used in terms of a bind rune. And a bind rune is just one rune or more superimposed upon another one to amplify the energies of those runes together. All right. Now, what are the obstacles and the challenges? Well, it just happens to be the goddess Freya's rune, but this too is in the reverse. This is Fehu in the reverse. Now, Fehu in the reverse talks about disappointments, greed, loss, money problems. You see how it's exactly the opposite of what our present energy is. So that's what they're doing. They're giving the parallels, the differences between the karmic energies right now, what they're actually going through, no matter what they are appearing on the outside. This is really what they're experiencing. They're doing their best to hide it, though. I see that a lot here, where they're wearing a mask. So it may not be as obvious as you might think when going through such difficult, if you will, psychological trauma, which they apparently are, as well as material trauma. They're losing their material wealth. They're having money problems. Lots of arguments, perhaps with their counterparts and family, friends. Loss of their own property. Loss of self-esteem, or something that they put a lot of effort into trying to keep. Feeling like a failure, being burned out, atrophying away, a sense of discord, cowardice. We've seen that with all the other tricky behaviors we saw with the previous two runes. Stupidity and dullness, poverty, slavery, and bondage. This is their actual state of being at this time, no matter what it looks like on the outside, okay? Now, Fehu in magical terms is used to increase productivity and abundance and so on. She's the goddess of magic on top of everything else, and presumably had taught Odin himself how to do certain type of magic. Okay, so that's our obstacles and challenges, Fehu in the reverse. Now it comes out to number 1 in terms of numerical significance, which is the number of beginnings of root causes and solidifying, or solidarity I should say, of force. So it's rare in operative runecraft and in mythological references. So unfortunately, numerology, as we can derive from all the writings and everything else, it's not necessarily that it wasn't used, but it's difficult for us to put together in a real sense that is, like I've said a couple of times now, as easy to utilize and to further clarify a specific ideal or thought or notion about the energy in particular. We're trying to develop that. I personally am trying to develop this, and I continue to study and trying to find out, and if you will, trying to look under all the different rocks that I can find so I can piece this together and make it more of a cohesive system, like it was practiced by my ancient ancestors. Now, as far as our guidance is concerned and our advice, we have Sowilo. And Sowilo, we've seen in the past, looks like the S. Okay. All right. And Sowilo is number 16, which comes out to number 7 in terms of numerology, which is, again, the death and passive contact with the other worlds, funeral rites, things of that nature. So that number is important to them, but beyond that, we don't see a whole lot of significance specific to it yet. Okay, but what the rune itself means is the sun, victory, clarity, power, honor, achievement, goals being achieved, the life force, health, a time when power is available to you to make the changes that you desire in your life. Again, victory, success, also contact between your consciousness or unconsciousness and your higher self, if you will. Okay, and wholeness, power, the elemental forces, things of that nature. It's a very powerful rune. Okay, and it's used basically in terms of magic as one for attack, power, and defense. For really trying to overcome a major ordeal, obstacle, or whatever the case may be. This would be one of those runes that you would choose in that endeavor. Okay. All right, and in basically our future outcome is again, just like the past energy, the future outcome for today is also Manaz in the reverse. So it's not particularly good. We're back focusing once again on the karmic outcome, and that is one of selfishness, feeling uninvolved, a sense of victimhood, egoism, loneliness and depression, mortality, feeling blinded and delusional. Again, a sense of cunningness and slyness, manipulative, crafty and calculated. And again, just reiterating what the very beginning of this reading stated, that you can expect no help at this time. You may be, well, I'm sure you are, whoever it is feeling these things, you are very familiar and aware of what's going on and that you are experiencing a tremendous amount of karma. That's becoming very apparent. Now maybe you are thinking twice about the things and the decisions that you've made, as well as the things that you've done, and how you tried to single people out and force your will upon their life for envy, jealousy, your ego, pride, whatever it was that motivated you specifically. You are now experiencing these things. Now you want to pass the buck on everybody else. This is also being made clear with this reading, but you have nobody to blame but the person staring at you in that mirror. Okay, and that's just the fact of it. Until you come to terms with that, it's never going to begin to get better. For some of you, you have gone to the ultimate level where you've literally given away that which is something you've treated very, very poorly, and that is your own energy or your own spirit. Some of you have actually made a deal, so to speak, like in the old stories that we hear, especially during Renaissance period of time and everything else, where people would do whatever it took and sell their souls in order to get whatever it was that they got for whatever short period of time that they were allowed to enjoy them. Well, unfortunately, even though you may not have gotten what you wanted, especially for the length of time that you were hoping to experience them, the devil is coming, so to speak, to receive his payment, whatever that is, based on whatever it was that you did. And this needs to be an example for anybody else who considers these types of things. There are laws of the universe. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it the traditional devil versus God kind of way, however it is that resonates with you most. But the laws are there. Laws of balance, laws of reciprocity, laws of conservation of energy, And again, I reiterate these things multiple times so that you can understand it. We know these things are true. And it works the same way in terms of your actions, your words, your will. What you put out there, you end up getting back. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I don't know what else to tell you. I've tried telling you this multiple times. I've tried helping you for years. I've tried warning you for those who are cross-watching and watching me, and I know that you are. It's what I'm doing here, for God's sakes. I can't not know that you're watching. I do. And I know that there are other people out there experiencing much the same thing, with much the same type of scenario in their life, where people have been working specifically against you for the longest period of time. You believe that you're doing it secretly. Nobody knows about it. You believe that you're actually getting ahead and that you're getting what you want, or you will if you just wait it out long enough, or if you just do this next, stupid spell. You don't realize, what's the definition of insanity, right? And yet, day after day after day, you guys do the same things, and you're not getting it. I don't know what else to tell you. This is not ego. This is not pride or whatever that I'm trying to express to you. I'm trying to help you, since you're not willing to help yourself. And help somebody else who may be in a similar light out there that's watching, that's also going through this. Okay? You don't realize what you're doing to yourself. You're not having any impact on me, any effect on me. And I presume the very same thing for the other collective personalities out there who are also improving themselves. And they're also walking side by side with spirit and their higher self and everything else. You can't touch them. And for you to even try to, you are reaping you are reaping a world of hurt for yourself, one that you can't come back from. And it's unfortunate, but you need to hear it. You know, you either change your ways or they're going to be changed for you, and not in ways you're going to be happy about. I can tell you that with a certainty. But of course, you're just going to mock and you're going to roll your eyes, regardless of everything that you're going through right now, and the proof of everything that I'm saying is before you. You still mock me, still call names, and everything that you do. And I know all of that too. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't. I don't care. I just do what I know to be right. And I try to treat people the way that, I'd want to be treated. The golden rule is another one of those universal laws that we find literally in every single faith that I've looked at, including the Nordic faith, believe it or not. So, it's everywhere. And you've broken that by trying to do this dirty, energy manipulation against the collective, and you're going to pay for it. You are. And I don't want that for you. I don't. But I can't do anything about it. You have made your own decisions. So you are the one that's going to have to decide to do something differently if you wish to have a different outcome. And that's where I'm going to end this. I'm sorry I ended up on a negative note, so to speak, but again, we're here to advise, to help. That doesn't mean we have all the answers, but I spent a lot of my life looking for answers. And where I can, I will try to help. Even those who have done everything in their power to harm, me, even personally. So, with that being said, I wish you all the very, very best. And I'm hoping that soon the energy itself will also pick up. We can focus more on the positive, things that we need to hear to get us really moving forward in a mighty way for this transition that's happening in our world today. And I'm looking forward to meeting some of you along the way, because our world is going to become more polarized, I think, very soon, where the few are going to, and we've heard that in most religious belief systems as well. So we're seeing it, we're experiencing it. Everything from Native American, indigenous belief systems to the big religious belief systems, from Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, you name it. Basically, we're seeing much the same types of things echoed in those systems, where there's only a remnant of people that are going to heed the warnings, and they're going to do the work and to move, ahead when things start to get really, really rough or difficult. So, I just say that I'm privileged and excited to move on, to move forward. And every one of us has that opportunity. And I'm hoping that some of you out there who are looking, at things like this, and maybe even for the very first time, that you will consider actually doing your very best to, be the very best version of yourself. That doesn't mean being goody two-shoes, but it does mean coming to, a state of being where you recognize that you are what you were created to be, and you're not running away or pretending to be something else. You're just trying to be the very best version of what you were created to be, and to share that gift or gifts that you were given with the other parts of the collective. That's what we're here to do, to edify one another. And again, I know I'm rambling. It's because I've been away for so long. I feel I have to make it up. So please, again, forgive me. And then I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Peace out. See you guys. Bye.